Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to talk some Cavs, and we're going to talk a little Browns, reflect on the season, and we will talk some about the divisional round of the playoffs coming up this weekend. And before we get to any of that, here is today's Scott Sports 101 NBA trivia question. Who was the youngest player to reach 10,000 regular season points in the 20th century? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. Well, the Cavs really hit their stride and never let up as they beat the Milwaukee Bucks by 41-35 to 95 Wednesday night at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse here at home. Uh, Georges Niang led the way for the Cavs with 33 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Donovan Mitchell had 33 points, 5 rebounds, uh, 7 assists. And Jared Allen had 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Allen had his 10th straight double-double of the season. And the Cavs got off to a really great start, uh, being up 22-2 during the first quarter and led by 10 at the end of the first, 32-22. Uh, the Cavs led by 22 at halftime, 66-41. In the third quarter, the Cavs led by 41, 108-67. And in the fourth, it was all Cavs, and the Bucks never uh, saw the light in this one. And the Cavs have had the last yesterday and today off, but they will be back. Uh, but before they begin a road trip this weekend for several games, the Cavs will take on the Atlanta Hawks at State Farm Arena in Atlanta tomorrow. And tip off for that is Saturday, which is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. on Bally Sports, Ohio. And the Cavs are 23-14, I think, on the season. I think 23 or 24-15, excuse me, 24-15 on the season. That's what their record is right now, and they're in fourth in the Eastern Conference. Now, moving on to the Browns, fired offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, along with running backs coach Step Mitchell and tight ends coach T.C. McCartney on uh, on Wednesday. Van Pelt came aboard with Kevin Stefanski in 2020, serving as the offensive coordinator. It wasn't the typical setup for Van Pelt, who did not call the plays. That was the duty of Stefanski, who has assumed the play caller role since arriving. Uh, Van Pelt spoke with ESPN, and Van Pelt spoke with ESPN reporter Jake Trotter after being let go, and he kept it short and sweet. On to the next one, Van Pelt told Trotter. The shakeup also included, as I said, running backs coach Mitchell and tight ends coach T.C. McCartney. Trotter offered a little more details on how the firing of Van Pelt unfolded. To clearly further on to clarify further on Alex Van Pelt's situation, on the Alex Van Pelt situation, excuse me, per multiple team sources, the Browns discussed a reassignment of staff, but ultimately the two sides opted to part ways, Trotter wrote. And if there's any other changes, I will let you know, and there will be, and I will keep you updated on those changes. That's what I will do. Uh, and right now, and I do know, and this season was a just a remarkable season. And Joe Flacco, he was showing the door on Monday as the Browns parted ways with him, and I know he will not be back with us next season. So And so I do know he won't be back with us next season. And and the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski has broken his silence after with a 5-word statement after firing Van Pelt. After the Cleveland Browns shook up their coaching staff on January 16th, which was Wednesday, actually Tuesday, excuse me, former offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt issued a brief statement on being let go. Van Pelt came aboard with Kevin Stefanski, as I said, in 2020, serving as the offensive coordinator, and it wasn't the typical. That's what I just read you, and but there have been some changes. But there are also other Browns. We're just trying to, and uh, and there is a and Flacco says he is open to being back with the Browns, so we'll see if that happens. And but there are some Browns and should the Browns should a lot of fans feel some of the staff feels the Browns should sign one of these two veteran QBs to back up Deshaun Watson or someone like them. Mary Kay Cabot has issued. The Browns are still reeling from their 45-14 beatdown by the Texans in the wild card round, and in the process of searching for a new offensive coordinator to replace Alex Van Pelt and other new assistants as well. Uh, and and uh, and before the next few weeks are over, they'll also add a new running backs coach, a new tight ends coach, possibly a new defensive line coach, and maybe a new play caller for Deshaun Watson if Stefanski hands the chore over to his new coordinator. Uh, once the new staff is set, the Browns will turn their attention to upgrading their talent in pursuit of uh, that elusive Super Bowl trophy. This is the first in a series of things the Browns should do this offseason. I agree with that. Uh, First one is to acquire a good veteran backup QB, such as Jacoby Brissett or Joe Flacco. The Browns learned the hard way this season that it's too risky to have an inexperienced backup quarterback when the stakes are so high, with Watson coming off surgery to repair his fractured uh, glenoid bone, in his right throwing shoulder. It's more important than even last season to have a winning backup in the house. The Browns will continue to develop the 2023 fifth round pick, DTR Dorian Thompson Robinson, but they must be able to keep winning in the event Watson gets hurt again. Thompson Robinson, 1-2, made a significant contribution to the playoff run during the 13-10 victory over the Steelers in Cleveland. The Browns, other young backup PJ Walker went 1-1 and also pulled out a 39-38 victory over the Colts after replacing an injured Watson in the first quarter. But the two backups combined for only two TD passes and 9 interceptions en route to passer ratings of 51.2 for Robinson and 52.2 for Walker. Um, and after Watson went down for the season with a shoulder injury, the Browns were lucky to find a former Super Bowl MVP in Flacco, a 16-year pro at home in New Jersey, waiting for the phone to ring, eager to get back in the game. Flacco kept himself in great shape and had fresh legs when he showed up, it was the perfect storm for him to come in and go 4-1, throw for 300 yards and a club record for regular season games, and help the Browns clinch only their third playoff berth since 1999. And a ton for the Browns, leaving themselves short at the position like so many other teams did in 2023. And right now, I'm going to get back to this in just a moment, but right now it's time to reveal the answer to today's Scout Sports 101 NBA trivia question. And who was the youngest player to reach 10,000 yards, 10,000 points, excuse me, in the 20th century? And if you said the late, great Kobe Bryant, you are correct. Kobe Bryant, although only 24, is seriously the rising star of the NBA. He is ensured a future place in the NBA Hall of Fame by setting NBA records. Most three-pointers made in a game, 12 and the highest number of consecutive threes, 9. A trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. Unfortunately for Flacco, he faltered in the wild card game like everyone else, throwing two pick sixes in the third quarter when he forced the issue to try to close the 2024 gap. It broke open at 38-14, Texans lead from which the Browns couldn't recover. But Flacco, who turned 39 on Tuesday, saved the Browns' season, and they'd be open to bringing him back as the backup to Watson if he doesn't find a chance to start elsewhere. Likewise, Flacco has made it clear he loves it here and would be open to a return. He loves everything about the Browns and their fans and was overwhelmed by how the community embraced him as his number one choice. His number one choice, of course, would be to start or have a chance to do so, and that's not happening here. But someone else might have seen something in Flacco that they didn't in the first 10 weeks of the season when he was overlooked. From week 13 on, he led the NFL with 323.2 passing yards per game and tied for second with 13 TD passes. He established an explosive downfield connection with Amari Cooper and David Njoku hitting big plays of 43, 45, 51, 53, and 75 yards. He was so efficient and his passes so catchable, both Cooper and Njoku made the Pro Bowl with their late season flurries, and they have both been named to the Pro Bowl, Amari Cooper and David Njoku. And so we'll see those two guys in the Pro Bowl. As for Flacco, Watson coexisting, they'd be just fine. They're both professionals committed to winning and could handle any outside noise. The Browns might also have a chance to bring back Jacoby Brissett, who is 31, if he doesn't get an opportunity to start elsewhere. Going 4-7, the Browns during Watson's suspension in 2022. Brissett backed up Sam Howell in Washington this season, but didn't get a chance to start. He might be willing to come back again as Watson's backup and be ready to step in and win it at a moment's notice. He knows the system, although it would likely change with a new coordinator, and he is loved by his coaches and teammates, including Watson. Like Flacco, Brissett brings invaluable leadership as well as a winning ability. If they can't land one of these two, they should find someone in that category who can keep the playoff train rolling along in the absence of their QB1, their number one QB. So we will see if they will sign them and if one of these guys gets signed or if they will bring back Flacco or Brissett. So, and I'll keep you updated And there were some more players named to the Pro Bowl, I think. And there's some more players that are good. Linebacker Jeremiah Ozwo and guard Wyatt Teller were named to the Pro Bowl on Friday as well. So we've got four of our guys in the Pro Bowl that we're going to see. So this will be played on February 4th, and we'll see them then. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 for this edition of Scott Sports 101. And I'll be back tomorrow and Sunday with the Scott Sports 101 NFL Divisional Round podcast. And until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day and every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.